I'm John Quelch of Harvard Business School. It's September 2007, and I'm here with Nelson Peltz, the non-executive chairman of Triarc and the lead investment officer and chairman of Trian Investment Company. Nelson, welcome. Can you give us an update on why Triarc purchased the Snapple brand, what you did with the company, and why you came to sell it?
Okay. Triarc was, when I got to Triarc, we bought control of a company called DWG, which was in over a dozen different businesses, one of which was RC Cola. And we couldn't figure out quite what to do with RC Cola, because it was the third leading cola brand in America, which is sort of like being the world's tallest midget. You know, our total revenues were not even close to the marketing spend for New York State for Coke or Pepsi. But it got us into the business. We did some creative things with them. We signed a 21-year contract with Walmart, exclusively making their cola and so forth. And then we looked at other areas, and we saw opportunities in the alternative beverage category. And the alternative beverage category was very interesting in that Coke and Pepsi really didn't want to be there. They were there very reluctantly because it wasn't nearly as profitable as their prime business of just shipping and selling concentrate to bottlers. Here they were in the finished good business, and the finished goods were glass, lots of SKUs, lots of problems, not as simple or as profitable. Yet very profitable with good margins, but not as profitable as the concentrate business. So we saw an opportunity, and we bought a little business called Mystic, and met with Tom Lee, and he just wanted way too much for Snapple, and then he sold it on to Quaker Oats. And you could see from day one, things got very wobbly at Quaker Oats and Snapple. So I began calling Bill Smithberg, who was then the chairman of Quaker, on a regular basis. Bill, if you get tired of Snapple, we're here to buy it. And got to be close to a pain in terms of how many times I called. And then finally one day he called me about 2.5, 3 years after he bought it and said, we're ready to sit down and talk. We did. The asking price was $300 million. We bought it for $300 million. And then what we did is we took the plan of everything that Quaker had done, and we virtually turned it upside down. We brought Howard Stern back. We brought Rush Limbaugh back. We brought Wendy back for a time. And we made friends with the distributors as opposed to alienating the distributors. We told them how together we're going to make lots of money for them as opposed to trying to take their rights away. So on balance, it was a wonderful experience. We bought Snapple. It was losing $28 million on the EBITDA line. When we sold it, it was making 80. But sales were going up. There were new product lines. There were new demographics that we were focusing on. And we changed packaging, labels. We did everything that it really needed to be done, and we didn't spend a lot of time on consumer marketing, and we'd make 10,000 cases in a flavor that we liked and believed in and shipped it out. And if it didn't sell very well, we would never make it again. Mm-hmm. If it did, we'd make 20 or 30,000 the next time. And that's the way, because it was a fast-moving business. It wasn't a business that lent itself to lots of testing. And then we were going to, when we're up to 80 million, we're going to take it public. And we had filed to do an IPO. And then Cadbury came in, and came in early in the year and offered us about $1.3 billion, $350. We turned it down, and finally, come fall, they got to $1.5 billion, and we said okay, and we sold it on. So it was a great transaction for Triarc, a great transaction for Triarc shareholders, and it was a fun thing to be part of with some great guys like Mike Weinstein and Ken Gilbert. Together we built a wonderful brand, or rebuilt it.
You've since made a specialty of turning around underperforming consumer businesses. What do you look for in a business that leads you to believe Trian or Triarc could add value?
Well, it's Trian. What we try to find is a business, a good business, number one, that is just not living up to its potential, is not getting it right on the income statement. We want, and I think it separates us from the rest of the activists, which is the genre that we're classified in that we don't want to just have a balance sheet opportunity. There are plenty of companies that have extra cash or a division that could be sold and use that to buy back stock. That's not what it's about as far as we're concerned. We like to work the income statement. We have a saying, which you've heard, that if you find $1 on the balance sheet, it's worth $1, and we're not going to walk past $1. But if you find $1 on the income statement, it's worth $10, $15, $20, depending upon what the multiple that stock trades at, and it comes back every year, and it comes without interest, and that's what we live and breathe, is on the income statement. So we, in certain cases, we're telling companies, reduce your discounts and allowances to supermarkets. Take that money, don't give it to shareholders, put it on television, put it on the internet, support your brands, give yourself pricing power, make yourself more relevant. Because these branded businesses, as you know, what's on the balance sheet is not what's important, it's the value of the brand. And you must support those brands. And if you do, it will pay dividends.
How do you work with the incumbent management when you spot a company that is underperforming?
Well, sometimes they're happy to see us, sometimes they're not so happy to see us. But our goal is to work with management, not to replace them. To work with them, share our vision for the business, give them our roadmap on how we think the business can be improved for the benefit of all the shareholders. And if they go along, that's terrific. If they don't, then we have to go to the next step.
And how do you see the financial markets in the current scenario we're in 2007? How do you see them over the next few years? What's happened?
I think reality has come back, okay? Discipline has come back. The markets got too crazy. It was a market that didn't depend on valuing credit. It was a market that depended on bankers telling the bank that they work for that they could take this credit and sell it on to somebody else. That's not what should be done. So you have credits today at 9 times leverage. You have light covenants. You have toggle financings. These things are not good. The subprime issue was just the tipping point. Now you've got credit scarcity all over the place. And just 2 months ago we were saying there's so much equity in the world. There's so much liquidity. Well, that liquidity is gone. And it disappeared in no time. And it disappeared because of we're in an environment of low rate, low return, where everybody wanted high return. And the only way they could accomplish that is with excessive leverage. Now people have gone back to safety, okay, and low return. So it's interesting how the world changed on a dime. And I think it's going to remain this way for a while. People are going to get more logical and in terms of how they finance things. And the banks are going to be very tight for it. And it's not a matter of cost of money, it's a matter of availability.
Nelson, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.